Football is officially back, and I am joined by my co-host and founder of Red, White, and Bills, Sean Kula, on the Red, White, and Ruthless. Sean, how you doing, man?
Doing great. It seems that a month away we'll be starting football. So it makes your time really fly by once you stop and think. Like it just seems like yesterday when we lost again in the playoffs, and then I would just feel it's gonna be forever till football, and now month away till the first game, right? Because Ravens and Chiefs Thursday night. So yeah, it's crazy how fast it goes.
Yeah, we've officially had our first preseason game. It ended early, unfortunately, so we didn't get to watch the full Hall of Fame game. But the opponent that the Bills are going to be facing is the Chicago Bears. We got to see a little bit of them in the game against the Houston Texans, but we get to actually preview the game next week. And officially, Buffalo Bills football will be on the field next Saturday at 1 p.m. That'll be on NFL Network. I can't wait to watch the Bills and some of the new faces that we have. We are going to talk about a lot of things today. We'll start with a game preview that we're going to talk about the Bears and Bills game. We'll also go into some observations that we've seen from training camp so far, camp battles, as well as who's trending up and down. We'll get into some of the new faces that are on the Buffalo Bills, a couple of moves that they made over the last couple of days, and then we'll go into a few players that need to show up on the roster in the preseason in game film so that we can kind of see what the 53-man roster will look like. We're going to talk about all of this and more today on Red, White, and Ruthless. But first, we have to hit our intro. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Red, White, and Ruthless. I did skip the intro just because I felt like it was a little bit too early to do the intro. Guys, I don't think we need an intro. You know who we are by now. We've been doing this for way too long. I am Brett McDurphy, and this is my partner in crime, Sean Kula of the Red, White, and Bills. Sean, football's back officially, like we mentioned, and we get to talk about the Buffalo Bills and what they have on the field, the new 2024 Buffalo Bills. And I think that this is the best time of year because we have 90 players on this roster that we get to talk about and get to know more about. And then we get to talk about them throughout the whole entire regular season. We have 22 weeks officially of football. Football does not end until February. I already sent in my 2 weeks notice to my wife, giving her the heads up that, hey, listen, I'm going to be out of commission on Sundays, Saturdays, pretty much Mondays and Thursdays as well. And a few other days I added in just because I felt like I could.
The whole week, man.
Pretty much every day I felt like I could. So I told her I can't take the dog out. I can't do this, can't do that, and everything. And she's all good with it. She said it's all fine. I handed it to her while she was sleeping, so she hasn't seen it yet. That's pretty much the case of what's going on. But we get to talk about Buffalo Bills football, like I mentioned, and this game preview is going to excite me. We get to talk about the new faces on our Buffalo Bills, but we also get to talk about the new faces on the Chicago Bears. Sean, I want to talk about the Chicago Bears first because this is a roster that has been revamped quite a bit, especially with losing Justin Fields last year and now bringing in a new face to their offense. I don't think that we're going to see him in this preseason game, but let's talk about some of the new faces on the Chicago Bears. Let's begin with Caleb Williams. And then once we get into that, I will get to the comments, guys. I see you in the chat, Weston and Jessica, as well as a few others in the chat as well. I will get to the comments after that, but I want to get to the Bears and what they have done this offseason. So, Sean, I'll let you lead it off.
Yeah, shout out to Weston and Jessica. Appreciate you guys tuning in. But yeah, the Bears, they really revamped offense and defensively since last year. And people might think, oh, they're really bad. They got the first overall pick, but they won 7 games last year. and there were really high hopes for them as far as some people are even like Nick Wright are even saying they're going to get to a Super Bowl within Caleb's rookie contract, and a lot of high hopes, but you still have to get on the field and mesh and do things together. They added pieces on defense last year, so they might be more better off than the offense will right away. They got Ryan Bates at center now. Try to revamp that offensive line. They got a couple decent pieces over there, but DJ Moore, has been an outstanding receiver since he's been in the league, and probably going to be a top 5 guy this year. Keenan Allen's old, but he's still a playmaker. And then you got Rome Odunze, who's supposed to be one of that most highly touted players in the came out of the draft. And then they got Cole Kmet, decent tight end. They got a decent run game. So yeah, I mean, I think they'll be okay. I don't think they're gonna. I think the Lions are still leaps and bounds above the Packers and the Bears, but like Jessica says, it's the Bears, yeah, and they're exciting. It's gonna be exciting to watch. I remember the last time they were good, I was a big Brian Urlacher fan. I had a right. Brian Urlacher fat head in my room, and I used to love watching him play. Obviously, I was still a Bills fan, but I liked players too. When I was a young kid. So it's more fun the NFL when the Bears are good. So let's see what happens. But Caleb Williams is going to have a lot of pressure and anticipation of supposed to be really good. And if he comes out and struggles a little bit, the media is going to come down on him. The fan base probably won't, because I think the Bears fans know he can be really good, probably the best quarterback they've had, in their history. So I don't think they'll come right down on him right away, but, the media will, and, other fan bases will. So it'll be a lot of noise that Caleb Williams has to kind of, quiet down and then really just stay within himself to, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to do good things. You don't be too high, don't be too low. But yeah, they're exciting ball club. And again, I'm not going to say they're going to go win playoff games, but they'll probably have a winning record, I'd say.
Yeah. I mean, I can see them definitely having a winning record. And you have to remember that the Bears getting the number 1 pick, and I should say the Bears getting the number 1 pick, was not because of their record overall. That was because of the trade that they made for the Bryce Young trade. That's why they got the number 1 pick from the Carolina Panthers. Now, having said that, they did have the number 10 pick. They used that for Rome Odunze to get an excellent wide receiver to complement Caleb Williams with that number 1 pick. And they also picked up Keenan Allen, like you mentioned. They also have on their roster, number 1, they have Cole Kmet, but they also have DJ Moore. So this wide receiver room is going to be excellent for a first-year quarterback, and Caleb Williams coming out a lot better than, in my opinion, than what Josh Allen had when he started off.
It's not even close.
Yeah, it's not even close. But you look at it, in what the Bears are doing right now excites me so much, because, like you said, the Bears are such a good team, and they have so much excitement for them, not only the product that they have on the field, but off the field. They're going to have a new stadium coming up in the next couple of years in Arlington Park. They also have a lot going on in the city, a lot of events that have been going on in sports. Just a couple of weeks ago, they had a NASCAR race in the middle of the city where it was a street fest type style, and that excites me about what's going on in Chicago, and I can't wait to see what they do with this new stadium in Chicago. But I can't wait for the new stadium in Buffalo as well. And when you have all these new stadiums, it just helps elevate the product that you're going to see on and off the field from Chicago and Buffalo and other cities around the country as well. So
I agree. Yeah, the Bears are doing it right. How they're surrounding Caleb Williams with a ton of talent, and basically giving him, even as a rookie, no excuse not to produce at a pretty high level. Not saying he's going to be a top 5 guy, but with what he's got around him, he should be knocking on the door in the top 10 at least this year. Right. Again, you still have to go out there and play. He's still gonna, have his bag. Like, I mean, look at CJ Stroud last year. I mean, people forget how good Justin Herbert's rookie year was, and they thought C.J. Stroud had the best rookie year ever because he had like 5 picks. But I mean, he only had 23 touchdowns, and there was like 3 or 4 games where he had 0 touchdowns. So you're going to have moments where, it's kind of uninspiring. But again, with what Caleb Williams has around him, they got a defensive-minded head coach with a pretty good. They got a really good secondary. They beefed up their D-line. They have Edmonds, so their linebacking core isn't that good, of course. But yeah, they'll be competitive, and he just has to, it's more of like, how's the coaching going to be? Because Eberflus, great defensive guy, horrible head coach so far. So it's just like the Jets, one of the worst coaching staffs in the league. Let's see what happens. But yeah, I mean, looking into the preseason game, like Jessica mentions, will they risk their number 1 pick right away? I don't know. I don't know how many of their starters will even play. I don't know if we're going to play any in the first game. But I would like if we each played a starters a little bit, so you can kind of see how our secondary is against guys like DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. How is our wide receivers going against their good secondary? And, obviously they'll play a little bit, our starters, but I don't know what they're going to think for the first game because, like you mentioned earlier, when you open the show, unfortunately, I think it's unfortunately, you have to have the 90 people on your team until the end of training camp.
Right.
So you don't get to cut every week to narrow it down. So now you have to play all these bums that aren't never going to make the team. And so it might be hard for the starters to play all the time because you got to get 50 other people out there to see if they're going to get cut or not. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting this year how they do that. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to – the first game's hard to preview because, again, you don't know what teams are going to do with their players. So, I mean, the Bears might because they already played one. So they'll probably play their starters a little bit. If I remember the last time we played the Bears when they had Justin Fields, he did play. I think that might have been the first game as well. And then Voshon Joseph lit him up and knocked his helmet off his head when he was a rookie. So that was a few years ago. But, yeah, I don't know. How do you think? Do you think they're going to play anybody?
I don't think the Bills will play anybody, to be honest with you, especially after the injuries right now. I could see maybe like a Keon Coleman just to get a couple of reps out there. But I don't think that they're going to play anybody, especially Curtis Samuel, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox. I don't expect any of those guys to be out there. Even Josh Allen, I don't expect, or James Cook. But I could see a couple of guys just to get some reps in there. Maybe a Matt Milano for a couple of plays just because he hasn't been on the field at all, just to give him some live reps. But I don't expect anybody out there just because of the injuries that we have had. And we're so thin at the safety position. I don't think it's worth it to risk guys, especially like a Kareem Jackson out there. I don't think that he'll play. But I do think that it's a good idea to get some guys out there on the field just to get some chemistry. And that's where I think the Chicago Bears will come into play and play Caleb Williams for a few snaps.
Yeah. Yeah, and the truck review said real quick, yeah, we do have an extra one for the international guy. So we'll have 54.
We'll have 91 actually out there on the field. So Ed Oliver's 91 number out there on the field. So it'll be interesting to see what the Bills decide to do. But I do expect, especially in the preseason, the first couple of games, you don't see guys like Aaron Rodgers or anybody out there. It seems like the preseason is just baloney for the starters, and then you just have guys that are backups and competing for the roster spots playing as a starter. So
I think it's important for a little bit of both. Definitely important for the guys that are trying to make a roster, but I feel like it's good for the starter to get out there at least the last game because you want to get ready for, to bump heads with people. You're about to get, hitting your teammates and hitting people that aren't your teammates. At least when I played, I mean, these guys all seem to be buddy, and they just, it feels like fans care more about football than the players do in the NFL. But when I played in high school, I hit people on my team, but then when the game started, it was a whole different story because part of it was we had just enough kids to field the team, and if you hurt one of them, then you can't play football anymore. So I was always like in the back of my head thinking like, we had freshmen on varsity, because we didn't have enough people on a team. So it's like if I lay this dude out and, break his collarbone, then we can't play football anymore. So, but when the game started, I just, you flip the switch and you're in a whole nother level. So maybe it's like that with the NFL players too still, even though they're all buddy-buddy. But you want to get ready for that first week when someone's trying to take you down in war. And if you just you only hit people in practice once in a while, they blow the whistle, then you play the Cardinals week 1, and they were hitting hard all preseason, and they had their starters out there. You're not gonna feel ready. So I think it's important to get out there at least a little bit. Don't be concerned about injuries because you can get injured walking down the stairs. So
Yeah.
It is what it is if it happens. I don't really care about injuries because it happens to everybody. Every team's going to go through injuries. Everybody's going to lose players. As long as we don't lose our quarterback, anything else can be dealt with. Any team. If you lose your starting quarterback, you're probably done. But you can manage losing other pieces. So you just got to deal with it if it comes. So get your guys out there, get them ramped up, ready to go, and then there's no excuses when it comes week 1. And shout out Truck Reviewer as well.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what you're saying, Sean. And great question from Trek Reviewer asking if our former starting quarterback Nathan Peterman will be on the Chicago Bears. No, he will not. That's a great question, though. He's actually on the New Orleans Saints as a backup. So the 3 quarterbacks that the Bears have right now: Tyson Bagent, as well as and I said it wrong. I apologize. But, my accent comes out a little bit. Caleb Williams. And then Brett Ripien, he's the quarterback that I am most likely to be excited about from the Bears. He had 2 incomplete passes against the Houston Texans, threw a ton of balls, and he looked like a star out there, to be honest with you, going against the second and third team, and I can't wait to see him on the field.
Yeah, I hear that. And good evening as well, Dennis. Thanks for tuning in.
And Jessica Tennis came up with a really good comment here as well, looking at practice of the kickoff rules that are in effect. There's so many different rules based off of where the landing spot is on the field and when you can go on and off the field. We saw so many issues in the first preseason game where they actually had 12 men on the field for the kickoff team. And you're allowed to have 12 men on the field as long as that 12th man is the holder. I don't know if you know this, Sean.
Yeah.
So
you just can't make the play.
You can have a punter out there on the field that's holding the ball for them, and he has to run off the field, take the tee with him, and designate that he's with his hand up that he's coming off the field, which is crazy to see.
Yeah.
And they had an offside penalty called on the punter because he lined up and moved too quickly.
That's funny.
I've never seen that before in my life, but it happened.
Yeah, I'd say have your, there's going to be a couple guys that are, roster bubbles that might play special teams, but get the rest of the starters for the special teams out there just to get, you're not going to do all your elaborate plays that you're supposed to be thinking of, but just get them out there to just play. And, the ones that are roster bubble guys, get them out there too, swap them out, but keep the starters in and practice.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And Weston's asking, Keon Coleman going to play a lot in the first preseason game? I don't think he's going to be out there for a long.
Should a little bit.
I think a little bit. Yes, I agree. Maybe a series or 2 just to start off, but no, he's not going to be out there the whole entire game making highlight reel catches. You don't want your, to give the keys to the Lamborghini and put it on the field and then have an opportunity for a little kid to come in and wreck it. That's pretty much what I'm saying is you don't want to hurt the franchise whatsoever, especially when you have such high expectations to go to the Super Bowl or even deep in the playoffs this year for the Buffalo Bills. You don't want to have that player out there on the field for too long. And I think the Bills are going to take Coleman off the field quickly if he does get on the field.
Yeah, not too long, but especially guys like Coleman, I feel like they need to have another lineup, another NFL type person first that's not on your team. Get a couple drives first game, a couple more the second game, and a quarter the third game. Just because the more you get opportunity, the better. Because you don't want him to get hurt, but I don't want him to wait. Like Josh can wait. he can wait till the third game
Right.
or whatever. But
Josh,
all the rookies and the young guys, I feel like they need to be on the field, not the whole game, but at least a couple drives each game. And then again, I do want the first team out there a little bit each game too, just because everybody's so new. The offense is so new, and then you got Edwards and McGovern there. So yeah, we'll see how they do it, but that's what I would prefer.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for a guy like Josh Allen, he's been there, done that pretty much. And the difference is with Keon Coleman, he's never been in the NFL. So he needs to be out there on the field just a little bit. But let's move on. Let's talk about some observations that we saw from training camp over the last couple of weeks. We did have the blue and red game. That one, I don't know, Sean, if you got any footage of that, but I do want to go into more of the observations that we've seen from the first 2 weeks. And I'm going to let you lead, Sean, to start off and talk about what you've noticed from the first 2 weeks of training camp for the Bills.
Yeah, well, Jessica's going to like this one, and I've been saying it, I've been frustrated with how they've handled Kaiir Elam. I was saying last year, if you're not going to use him and you're just going to let him rot on the bench, then you should trade him because he's worth something, because he's a playmaker, he's physical, he's athletic. And I've been saying it to these other channels out there. I firmly believe that Elam is more athletic, he's more physical, he's a better playmaker than Christian Benford. People just look at Christian Benford's PFF score and think he's a top corner in this league. But we got to remember, PFF could be misleading if you don't compare it to the film. And, because I even forgot his name already. The linebacker we had last year, Terrell Dotson, he was rated the third best linebacker in the league. Do you guys really think he's the third best linebacker in the league? He wasn't even the third best linebacker on his team. So you got to throw PFF score out of there. Bobby Babich always been saying, whoever makes plays is going to play. Kaiir Elam's been making plays in camp. I really think, and a lot of people overlook it. They're like, "Oh yeah, he's going to be the third guy no matter what." It's an actual competition. It's an actual competition with him and Christian Benford. I like Christian Benford, but he's just a sit back, come to me type corner, perfect McDermott guy. And my biggest argument, and Mike mentioned it in his video a while back, the best corners in the league, and this is my biggest point about it with Elam. The best corners in the league, the Sauce Gardners, the Jalen Ramseys, the Pat Surtains, the L'Jarius Sneed, they're all physical. They're all handsy. So our fan base likes to say, oh, Kaiir got a flag. I don't want him on my field. He's a horrible player. He's too handsy for me. How about your coach, who's supposed to be a defensive back expert, enhance that skill of physicality and using your hands? And instead of making it, oh, don't do that, I'm going to take that away from you. Wear boxing gloves. How about you say, hey, let's make it so you can use your skill and not get caught doing it, like Sauce Gardner does. Sauce Gardner could get called for holding every single play, but that's what's great about him, is he mastered the art of being able to use his hands and get away with it.
Right.
So I'm tired of everyone just like, oh, he gets a flag, so I'm tired of him. It's your coach's fault because he's not using his abilities to his fullest. He's telling him, hey, Kaiir, your biggest ability, we don't like that. We want you to just do the opposite of what you're good at, and then people are going to complain that you're not starting. Okay, sound good?
Right.
So yeah, Kaiir Elam's balling out. I like what he's doing. Dwayne Smoot's doing real well from what I hear, surprising people, just dominating practice after practice. Obviously, the given at Oliver, one of my favorites, just eating everyone's lunch, just an absolute beast at what he does. So those are the standouts on defense for me. It's good to see Milano back. I'm not going to come out and say he's going to be, all pro week one. He might take a couple weeks, coming off of an injury. It's never, 100% timetable for injury. Everybody's different. But it's good to see him out there.
Right.
And that's the only thing I don't like about camp is it's really what people's preference. So one guy over here saying, oh, Greg Rousseau's been the MVP of the camp. But then someone else says Ed Oliver's been, which I believe Ed Oliver's been absolutely dominant every single day. So how is Greg Rousseau the MVP if Ed Oliver's been the most dominant?
Right.
So It's really just people's preference.
It's
And then
kind of what it's what everybody's like media coverage gives you. So like if you follow, South Sports or you follow Built in Buffalo or Buffalo Fanatics or all these other channels that are out there, it's what they say because they're there. That's exactly what the situation is. You got the guys from Syracuse.com that are there as well. And we don't get to see the live footage. Sometimes we do. We watch some plays that we send back and forth to each other, but we're not there every single day. We don't get to see what's going on. That's the situation that we're in. So,
everybody sees things differently, and that's okay. I like getting the information. That's why you listen to a few. But going in before we answer Jess's question, the offense has been surprisingly pretty good. Usually it takes some time for the offense to ramp up. I mean, they've had bad times, of course, don't get me wrong, but right off the bat, like the first 4 days, they were just dominating the defense. Then they had a bad day, but I mean, it's pleasantly surprising. But Jessica comes in, says a 4th tight end, 10th offensive lineman, or 7th wide receiver. Personally, I think it will be 7th wide receiver. I think Shavers, Claypool, and Shorter have perfect bodies, strength, and speed for the new kickoff. Yeah, you know what? And I was thinking that too. I'm going to say I think you can get away with 10 offensive linemen and 7 receivers, but not 4 tight ends. And the reason for the 7th receiver was exactly for you can maneuver stuff on the kickoff and the kick return as well. I think we have to keep 6 bare minimum because injury stuff, and you're only going to suit up 5 for the game probably, but at least 6. But I'm 100% down with 7. Unfortunately, Claypool hasn't been able to really show anything because of his injuries, so hopefully he gets on the field. But yeah, got to have 10 offensive linemen too. We kept 10 last year. It's just more of like you're only going to suit up 9 for the game, but it's good to have. It's good to have the 10. But yeah, I've heard a couple people talk about having a 4th tight end, but I just feel like they're just going to keep 3. That's a sweet spot for them, and they'll keep that Davidson on the practice squad. And go with Quentin Morris, but yeah, it's been training camp too. Like some people are going to ball out in camp and then do nothing in the regular season. Some people are going to be horrible in camp, but then have really good regular seasons. So it's really just how they apply what they've been doing. And I'll let Brett go for you go ahead before I can ramble. But I wanted to talk about like a couple other like observations with maybe Greg Rousseau versus Spencer Brown, like those type of things. So remind me. But go ahead, please.
No, the only player I'm going to add to the mix that you didn't talk about, Sean, is Von Miller. I think that he's definitely back. He's looked really good. His burst is back and finally healthy after the ACL injury. I think that adds into play for the defensive line group. But no, Sean, I want you to definitely tune in and talk about the offensive line versus defensive line and what you're seeing from guys like Spencer Brown, who's in the contract year, and Greg Rousseau, who's kind of in that contract year. He does have his 5th-year option, but they're in contract years. So talk about them a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, before the contract year, what I did want to mention is, I like Greg Rousseau. Everybody knows I do like him, but I'm a little harsher on him than most people. But some reports, like, oh, he dominated Deion Dawkins on 1 rep. It's like, okay, it's 1 rep. So, you can't win them all. We know this. So am I going to see, oh, he beat Deion Dawkins 1 time and then just automatically think, oh, he took that next step to be an elite pass rusher? I don't think he did. And then, then they, people come out and say, oh yeah, he worked Spencer Brown pretty good on a few reps. And it's like, right. But we also don't know, like Spencer Brown had a way better year last year. He was pretty good last year, but he's still the weakest link on our offensive line. And he's still a middle of the pack tackle. So if Greg Rousseau's beating him pretty decently, in a day, like that's should be expected. Your 1st round pass rusher who's 6'7", 275 pounds, rock solid muscle, long arms, athletic, should be able to beat a mid-tier tackle multiple times in a game setting. So I'm not going to look at that kind of report and think, oh, Greg Rousseau has already hit that next level. So that's another part of camp where you really got to wait and see, because you're going to be playing a lot of guys better than Spencer Brown. And maybe Spencer Brown's going to take another step up. I hope he does, because like you said, Brett, it's a contract year for him and Greg Rousseau. And, Greg Rousseau's got the fifth-year option, so
Right.
we have him next year no matter what. But Spencer Brown's done after this year, so we have to make that choice. And I'm praying that he plays just as good or better than last year, because imagine this. He doesn't play that well, and then you get rid of him. So then you have another hole on your offensive line. You got to get a new right tackle. You just switched your center. David Edwards won't be here next year, so you need a new left guard. So we were really close to having the same offensive line for 3 to 4 years locked up, but then we have to change things around. Like, now we have to put McGovern at center because he played 25 snaps in Pee Wee football, and he thinks he's more comfortable there. And then he played 100 snaps in the NFL. So that automatically means he's going to be the best center in existence now, because Aaron Kromer put him there. And not understanding that, I've been saying this every day since it happened. And, I want everyone to understand that I'm not saying Connor McGovern can't be a good center, because I think he could be. But just let me ask you a series of questions first before I continue.
Okay.
Would you rather do 2 hours of work or 1 hour of work?
I mean, that's an obvious question. I'd rather do, the one, but I mean, I'm a hard worker. I don't care. If I have to do the two, I don't mind doing the two.
Would you rather pay $200 for something or $100 for something?
That's obvious. $100.
Okay. Well, I had a bunch of other questions to ask, but now here's the biggest one. Would you rather fix 2 positions on your offensive line or 1?
Depending on where the problem is. That's the thing.
There's no problem.
Yeah. If there's no problem, then I want to fix 1. If there's problems, I want to fix 2.
Right. So you always have to make everything difficult. You could have just then simply answer the question.
I mean, it's a trick question, though, because
it's not a trick question. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know what you're saying, though. I'm not trying to give you the difficult answer. It's more looking at it from a business perspective. It's like saying,
I was trying to make a quick point. Now you're making a big drawn-on thing, and we're gonna.
No, I got you. No, but you have a business, right? You do cleaning and everything. If you have 2 bad employees that are causing issues, do you want to fire both employees, or do you want to fire the one?
Well, of course, Brett, but I was talking about just our offensive line situation, not random other things. All right.
I got you, man.
So never mind. Let's just move on and talk about what was the other thing? Forget it.
No, we're good. No, we're good. Trust me. But no, I mean, for me, I want to fix the one issue for the offensive line, just because that's the weak point in the offensive line. So correcting it, yes, is a good thing. But do I think that Mitch Morse is probably on the career downfall? Yes. I think that there's injuries involved as well, and that's why they moved on from him. But the Bills are going to find their next center, and that's what's going to happen in the next year. They're going to take a year off, and then the next center will come into play. But no, let's get into the next topic, guys. I do want to get into some trending up players that we're seeing, as well as we talked about some of the offensive line. Let's talk about the trending up players on defense that I've noticed besides Von Miller. For me, I've noticed none other than Dwayne Carter had a great practice on Friday at the return of the blue and red. I thought that he did a really good job of batting passes down. He's looked good, but he's been quiet throughout the start of training camp. But I can't wait to see what he does on the field as well. You mentioned Kaiir Elam, a couple of pass breakups, interceptions against Josh Allen. I think that he had a great practice again on Friday. Ray Davis, a couple of the other a couple of the other running backs had great games. I thought the run game looked really good in the practice. The passing game, Josh Allen looked a little sloppy, but that's Josh Allen. I mean, he's going to throw the ball down the field quite a bit, and he's getting the timing down with different wide receivers out there as well. So that'll be corrected as time goes on. But it's a lot of new faces, man, on this roster. That's I got to say. And we have a couple more new faces coming to the Bills in Kareem Jackson as well as Burgess that was added to the roster as well. And we've seen some injuries to Mike Edwards as well as Cole Bishop. Both of them are considered week to week. And these injuries to the safety room, our depth has been tested. I'm going to say that. And I know a lot of people wanted like guys like Micah Hyde brought back. Micah is probably going to hang it up. I'm going to be honest with you. And Sean, I don't know if you agree with that, but I think it's towards the end of his career, to be honest with you. And I'd love to see him on the sidelines as a coach. Don't get me wrong, but Micah is just the neck injuries have added up a little bit too much, and I want to see what he does in the next level of his career. But Kareem Jackson, man, I can't wait for this guy to get on the field. If he does get on the 53-man roster for Buffalo, I think he'd be a really good fit. And, I mean, he hasn't had a ton of big numbers, but speed is what gets him. And, Sean, can you break him down just a little bit as well?
Well, I was going to say you did a nice video on him, and everyone should go check that out. But yeah, I mean, he's a veteran, done a lot of good things in the league. Last year, he got suspended quite a few times for illegal hits to the head, which isn't good. But I mean, hey, if he's gonna knock some of the competition out for a couple of weeks before we cut him, then hey, I'll I'll take that. No, I'm joking. But yeah, he's done some good things in the league, and for the meantime, he might be, good for the young guys, but, I think the plan is Taylor Rapp, DeMar Hamlin, Cole Bishop, Mike Edwards, and then you got Cam Lewis, who's the flex guy. So right. They're going to make the team. The only way Kareem Jackson or Burgess are going to make the team is if one or multiple of those safeties can't play for multiple weeks. Not that they're not good, but we have our guys. So yeah, I just feel like it's just precautionary for now. And then it's good to get them in early just in case one of them is hurt for a long time. And then also, if we do end up cutting these guys in 5 weeks and then Cole Bishop gets hurt again, then, hey, Kareem Jackson's been in the system for 5 weeks. We can just call him back off the practice, we can scoop him up or put him on the practice squad, whatever, and then bring him up to the game and he'll be good. So it's good either way, I think, but their vision is Cole Bishop and Mike Edwards, Taylor Rapp, DeMar Hamlin, which none of them are really, oh my God, these guys are, world-renowned players, but they're all good enough. They're right. Good enough players to make plays. They're young, they're fast, which that's what Poyer and Hyde weren't. They weren't young and fast anymore. So as long as you're young and fast, I think you'll be fine in our safety room.
So let me ask you this, Sean. When it comes to the safety room, you look at Mike Edwards, who has missed the start of OTAs, mini camps, pretty much the whole entire spring for the Buffalo Bills. Now he's going to miss some extended time in training camp. Do you think that he could be a cut candidate for the Bills?
No, I don't. Oh, maybe, but I just don't think they will because they have, they have hope for him. And I want to say a lot of his contract is guaranteed. It might not be. But honestly, I do think he's going to miss a lot of time. Soft tissue injury, it's tough. I pulled didn't even tear them. I pulled one of my hamstrings in high school. Ooh. When I was playing baseball. It was a cold day, colder than normal. I was rounding third. I pulled my hamstring, kept playing with it, kept being hurt. And the only way to recover from a hamstring is not do anything at all. But I kept playing because I was a senior and I wanted to play, baseball. Then when the right one finally felt better, I was rounding second base, pulled the left one.
Oh, no.
Because you overcompensate when you're injured. So then in the summer, I had 2 pulled hamstrings. So I could hardly run out of the box. So, it was hard to pitch, but I was doing it. And
Like catcher.
right, yeah. And these pros, they have all the best care, best medicine, best massage therapist, best everything, but they play faster, bigger, stronger, quicker than I ever could, because they're pros and I'm not. So it's going to be a lingering issue. He has to just not do anything for a while and rest up. But once you get soft tissue injuries, you always have to be wary. So he could probably end up on the injury report again later in the year. And, but I think they're high on him and they like him in the room as a veteran. So we'll see.
I think a trip to the IR might be an option because it's only 4 weeks. That very well could.
Or the pup list, yeah.
Well, the pup list actually changed because the start of training camp he was available, so he won't start on the pup list because he reported he was healthy, he passed his
right. No, I mean, like once the season starts, like week 1 to week 4, maybe.
Right. That's so they can place him on the short-term IR.
Yeah.
And bring him back. So that would be the 4 weeks, and then they could also release him. I mean, with an injury clause, which is very possible. It saves the Bills about $1 million if they do that. They lose out on $1.5 million. But I mean, in that case, your best availability is your availability. That's the case that I make. Yeah. And if you're not available for this team, then why keep you on the roster? Why have a spot for you? If you're not going to contribute. We need guys that can contribute. And I do want to get to some of the comments that we do have rolling in. Weston comes in saying, do you guys think MVS will make the roster? Just asking from a Chiefs perspective. I think he will. He's had a slow start, especially with him coming to the Bills in May. I think that he'll make the roster, but he showed out a little bit in the red and blue game. But I think that he'll make the roster as a 6th or 7th receiver.
I think so.
Go ahead.
I think so too. And a lot of people I think are following, at least the people you listen to that are at camp all the time, the other channels and beat reporters, they're all like shocked that MVS isn't getting first team reps or excelling. And I'm just like, you guys forget that he's never had over 600 yards in a season. He's never been a elite wide receiver. He's never even been a great wide receiver. So why are you putting this expectation on him that he has to be getting first team reps constantly? He's a second team receiver. He's not going to be one of your top 3 on any team. So people are, they're like, oh man, I don't know. MVS has only gotten second team reps and a little bit of first team, but he's not doing too well. Like that's what he is. Like he's not going to be this guy that's going to come out here and get you 1,000 yards receiving and 70 catches. He's just the guy that's going to, do a little bit for you. A couple hundred yards, a couple touchdowns, a couple big plays, 30, 40 catches, maybe 50 on a great season. But he had Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers both in their primes, and maybe not 100% prime for Aaron Rodgers, but he was still putting up MVP, and this dude never had over 600 yards receiving. So, again, I tried warning everybody about Deontay Hardy and Trent Sherfield last year. Simmer down, temper the expectations on guys like MVS. He's okay. He's an NFL player. He's going to make your roster, but he's not this guy that's going to come out for your team and just blow it up. Just be a beast all the time. So I think he's just doing what he should be doing. Second team reps, a little bit of first team. Make some drops, make some catches. That's just who he is as a player. That's who he's always been as a player. And I think, Weston will be able to attest to that. That's just how he is. So I'm not worried about him. I think he'll make the team. But, a lot of people are making a big stink out of like, oh, second team rep, second team. That's what he is. You can be a second team receiver and still be working with Josh Allen because only 3 receivers, technically 3 receivers are going to be in a formation. You could have 4, but typically 3. So if he's the 4th one or the 5th one, that's what he is. He's not a starter. Like, this is not who he is.
Yeah, and I think of the 2 wide receivers, I mean, we picked up 4 wide receivers or even in the free agency. I think of the 2, Chase Claypool or MVS, I think the upside of Claypool is so much higher. And of the two, I think that Claypool could be the one that goes for 1,000 yards. That being said, I don't think it will happen in Buffalo. I really don't. But I think Claypool has so much more upside, and he could be the number 4 or 5 guy with Matt Collins being that special teams player. But I think this room, in terms of depth, all the way around, this wide receiver room is so much better than last year. You had Stephon Diggs out there doing his thing in the beginning of the year, fell off towards the second half. Khalil Shakir looking good in the second half, taking over for Stephon Diggs. But then Gabe Davis just up and down, a roller coaster of a year. Trent Sherfield, Deontay Hardy looking awful throughout the year. They couldn't get on the field and make a difference. That's the thing. Now you add into the mix all these new guys. I can't wait to see what they do on the field.
Yeah, we got a lot of it's weird because they're on paper they're not that great, but they're also at the same time has an opportunity to be really good. And then you're kind of just like that's where I'm at, where we're okay. I'm not gonna come out and say this is gonna be the best offense we've ever had. I'm not gonna say this is the best receiving core we ever had until they show it, and then I can recalibrate my opinion. But before they even play a game, I think they're okay. They have potential to be really good because there's a lot of decent guys, a lot of good guys. Nobody's great yet. Shakir could be great. Samuel could be great, but nobody's great yet. And it's exciting because if Joe Brady can get these guys open, if Josh Allen can read the field, and because a lot of people, and that's something that bothers me about this offseason is, it's corny now. I'm tired of hearing it, but everybody eats. Well, newsflash, everybody's supposed to eat, whether you have a number 1 receiver or not, because the quarterback is supposed to be looking at who's open. If the wide receiver 1 is open, you throw him the football, and he's going to catch the football. If he's not open, you throw it to the 2. If the 2 is not open, you throw it to the 3. So in reality, to me, it's Brady's not reinventing the wheel by saying everybody eats, because that's how it's supposed to be. That's football. And everyone's like, oh, we don't need a number 1 receiver. Well, guess what? Josh Allen's going to find a number 1 receiver and then make him a number 1 receiver. So it's all these things people are talking about. It's just because it's the change that's happening.
Right.
If we kept Stephon Diggs, everybody would be saying, oh, we got Stephon Diggs, we got this, we got that. We're the best ever. Stephon Diggs is the best. But now that he's gone, oh, we don't need that bum. He sucked last year. We don't need him. Oh, we got a bunch of wide receiver 2s and 3s. That's all we need. Joe Brady said everybody eats. We're going to run the ball. But that's what we do. That's what our fan base does. Is just like you see the new trend and say, oh, this is it. But this is how it's supposed to be from the beginning. Josh Allen was always supposed to look at Stephon Diggs first. You're always supposed to look at your number 1 guy. He's going to look at Dalton Kincaid first now. So he's still going to be the number 1 target. And then he's supposed to go from Dalton Kincaid to the next guy to the next guy. But then it's on Joe Brady to be like, okay, in this situation, this guy's going to do this. And then if he's not open, he's going to be here. Josh can see this and go there. And that's why it's such a dependent on not just the offensive coordinator, which Ken Dorsey got a lot of crap for it, but it was Josh that wasn't making the right decisions. When the plays were working. And then Joe Brady gets all the hate for it. Ken Dorsey gets all the hate for it. But yeah, it's exciting because, you look at guys like James Cook and these young guys like Dalton Kincaid that we have, Khalil Shakir, and you can see that it could be something, but we just got to wait and see. It has to all come together. The offense has to work, and it's cute that all the guys are like, we all got plates, and one day I'm going to have a full plate of steak, another day I'm going to have kernels of corn. Like that's all cool and cute and everything. But if you can't get open, it don't matter if you got a plate. If you got Shakir, Samuel, Hollins, and MVS in the field, and not one of them can get open, it doesn't matter if you got a plate in your hand. You're not going to get a scoop. So it's really just on Josh to see these guys, know their tendencies. Oh, if he's not open, I got to go here. I got to do this. I got to do Get these guys the ball, the playmakers the ball, and see what happens. Can't can't just assume that everything's going to be hunky dory because you're saying everybody eats.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right there. And I think the biggest thing for the Bills is there's so many pieces to the puzzle, and the running backs are going to play a significant role, especially running the ball, but also being pass catchers out of the backfield. You add in Dalton Kincaid being the number one option for the Bills this year, and then you have such a dynamic wide receiver room that you don't really know what you're going to get out of them. So, I mean, who's going to be that number one guy that steps up for the wide receivers? I think it will be Curtis Samuel. He'll have a mix of doing stuff out of the backfield and being a running back, moving around the field in terms of being that guy like Isaiah McKenzie was a few years ago,
Yep.
being the motion guy. But also, I think that Keon Coleman's going to have a really good year. I do. I think he'll set the record for most yards by a rookie for the Buffalo Bills. I think that that's going to be very easily beat. I've said over 1,200 yards. I mean, that's high expectations. Don't get me wrong, but he is a guy that you can't keep off the field. He's just a freak athlete. He can make plays all over the field, but
definitely,
I expect the touchdowns to be high for him.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too, Brett. Your expectations, it's on you. So if you set his expectation at 1,300 yards and he gets 500, then that's only going to upset you. But if I set him at 300 and he gets 700, then he exceeds expectations. So everyone can set any expectation they want, but it's going to dictate how you personally feel. So I think he could also get he's got the ability. He's big, strong, fat. He could do it. But if he doesn't, I know you won't be like, oh man, what the heck, he sucks. But as a fan base, like for example, people think we're going to win 12 or 13 games. I think we could too, but I'm not going to come out and buy into that yet. I want to see it. I want to see the first 6 weeks of the season. If we're 2-4, then no. If we're 5-2 or 4-2, maybe. If we're 5-1, possibly 6-1, 6-0, hell yeah. But that's why expectations always need to be recalibrated. So going into the season, I got us going 10-7. But if we're 6-0 after the first 6 weeks, I'm gonna say, yeah, you know what? I think the offense is clicking. We're top 5 offense. Yeah, I think we can win 12 games. But that's part of the problem is we want it. We're so good. We know we can be good. We're this close to getting to the championship. So we can't, as a fan base, sit down and think like there's another end of a coin. And if you think of the other end of a coin, you're negative. And I can't. If you guys see me in people's comments, I'm the guy that if I'm being realistic or trying to see it from a different viewpoint, oh, you're not a coach, or oh, what do you know? Oh, you're negative. Oh, this and that. I'm just saying, I'm just trying. There's more than one way to see things, and we need to be ready. For example, if we start 2-4 or 3-3 or whatever, or the offense looks like crap and Josh is still turning the ball, whatever, it has to be a thought in your mind as a possibility. While still being positive, you can be, but I mean, it's a tough year because we can still be good, but then everything has to go right, it seems. And I'm not really saying that we're a worse team because I think we could be better. It's just how are they going to start, and if they lose a game or two, how are they going to react to losing the game or two? Because they're going to lose games, right? We can admit that and still be positive, but it's all about how they're going to react to things. And Jessica mentioned Josh is going to make the decisions, and it's a good thing because I honestly feel Josh, he's the type of guy he's so good, but he doesn't like to be in charge, I guess. I feel like he just likes to be, oh, hey, this is the play. Do this. Oh, hey, Josh, we don't want you to run, so limit your running. Okay, I'm just going to sit in the pocket and then get sacked and not take first downs when I see him like he did last year. Now he has to actually be mature. He's a goofy, he's funny, he's cool, nice guy, everything. But I just feel like he liked to be in a bubble, like in the scheme, in the moment. Oh yeah, hey, do this, do that. Okay, if I got to make a play here and there, I'll do it. But now he has to be like, okay, now I got to call protections. I got to do it. He wasn't even calling protections last year, and he's in year 6. Like, now he's in year 7. Mitch Morse is calling all the protections. You should be doing it, and because it means you're truly reading the defense pre-snap. And I think, like Jessica said, I think it's a great thing that he's going to be calling, running the stuff himself. Basically, he knows what Brady likes. He's got free reign to make the choices and audible and do whatever he wants. And as with years prior, I just felt like he was just running through the motions, obviously making outstanding plays and being one of the best quarterbacks. But I just felt like, I don't know if you feel like that way, Brett, that he kind of just wasn't he's not lazy, but it's just hard to say. I don't know, where he's just you get what I'm saying. He just did what he was told and stuck to it, and went a little bit out of bounds if he had to. Like, okay, now I'll take this play and run. I don't know. I just felt like he didn't like to be that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be in charge. I'm the leader. I'm going to do that. I'm going to say this. I'm going to, you know what I mean? But now he's got no choice.
I think for me, the biggest thing that I've noticed different from last year to this year is the Bills have so much less drama compared to last year, when it was, Stephon Diggs and this BS of going on and this and that. And is there a beef with Josh Allen? Is there not a beef with Josh Allen? Is there, Sean McDermott going to be okay? Are they going to get over the 13 seconds? We've had all this stuff going on. Now you look at the roster, and this is the roster of guys that get along with each other. They're fine. There's not going to be any issues. Keon Coleman and Josh Allen aren't beefing. There's no fights on the team whatsoever. You got good camaraderie throughout the whole entire board. And this roster, there might be some differences. We might have lost some key veterans, but this roster is now designed for Josh Allen to be the leader. And I think he lost it a little bit when we brought in guys like Mitch Morse and some of the other veterans. But now the time has come. Josh Allen needs to step up, be the leader for the team, showcase that he can be the leader and he can get the guys around him fired up like he did in the first year. The first game that he ever played against the Minnesota Vikings, he was on the sidelines screaming at the defense and getting them fired up. And that excited me, being a fan on the bench, just watching the team. I said, this is what you need as a leader. He kind of lost that. And he kind of sits on the sidelines, like you mentioned last year, Sean. He sits on the sidelines, head down, and, I'm Josh Allen now. I'm afraid to say anything because, my coaches are going to be upset. No, go out there and say something. Get in the players' faces and be pissed off.
Yeah, well, that's another big topic is leadership and Josh Allen. I'm going to preface it with, I know I'm not a reporter. I know I'm not a player or coach. I'm not in the locker room. But I was a leader in the military for 4 out of the 6 years I was in. And I've been a captain of my teams and, so-and-so. And, I'm the owner of my company. I don't have employees, but I still have leadership and values that I go by. And leadership is a thing. The offense is just something that's in you. You can't really just practice it and then all of a sudden now next year I'm going to be even better. Obviously you get better at things,
right?
But I feel like it's forced that Josh has to be one because he's a captain, because he's a quarterback. This might not be a good leader. Like, people like him. He's goofy. He's fun. They say they want to fight for him. He plays on the field hard, but being a leader is not just about yelling in people's face. It's about teaching. It's about setting the example. It's about when you screw up, you don't sit on the bench with your iPad and mope like a little baby. You get up off the bench. You see, okay, that's behind me now. Let's go, guys. Let's get out there, do this. You don't have to yell. You can just talk and teach and motivate. That's part of being a leader. So
you take responsibility too. That's the other thing.
And the reason why Josh is a is because he has to be. Like, he didn't really earn a captain position. He just, you're the starting quarterback. There's your captain. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's like, it's kind of, it's a difficult thing with football because you kind of just get it given to you. Again, I don't see him. I'm not in the locker room with him. I know everyone respects him and likes him, but it's not just about being vocal.
Right.
And I just don't know if he's got that in him. I don't know if he's just and that's not a bad thing. Some people just aren't meant to be leaders. Right. So it's just, I feel like it's really being forced. And, I would just prefer what I can see is when you mess up or if something's going wrong, you hang your head and you sulk and you sit there like a baby.
Yeah.
The least you can do is the opposite of that. And sure, he could be the best leader in the world, and I just don't know because I don't see it. But from what we do see, the public perception is just this is how he is. When he gets on the podium and they lose, he lacks confidence, and that's not a good leadership quality. Because a lot of people, this is the last thing I got to say about it. Everybody blamed Ken Dorsey last year for the mourning in the locker room and the sullenness and the downtrodden. But let's stop and think for a minute. Who are these players looking at when they're losing? Their quarterback, who's sitting on the bench like this, going in the conference, the interviews and saying, "Yeah, I played like shit. I suck. Yeah, just can't do that." Like, people are watching you and they feed off of you. So you're going to blame your offensive coordinator because you threw 3 picks and then you go on the podium and say that you suck. That's not a good leader. That's not confident. You can own up to it. Oh, yeah, I just had a bad day. Just be like, yeah, I didn't do the right thing today. I put my team at a disadvantage. But guess what? Next week, we're going to come out. I'm going to fix my mistakes, and then we're going to win this next football game because I believe in the guys behind me. Like,
Yeah.
it's just about how your tone of your voice could just make all the difference in the world. So, I just feel like it's a thing that's being forced. And, a lot of people think leadership is just, I don't even know, this being a guy. And it's just because someone likes you doesn't mean you're a good leader. And, you don't have to be like Brady where you're in your face, but some people respond good to that. In today's world, a lot of people don't respond to that. But part of being a leader is knowing who you're talking to and how they respond. And he did mention that this year, which is good. But, I love Josh Allen, guys, but if he isn't the best leader in the world, that's not a bad thing. But someone has to be in that locker room. It'd be nice if it was him, but just fix the little things. If you don't want to be vocal, just when you get to the podium, when you lose or you do bad, don't look like you have no confidence in yourself. Because when I see that, it makes me sick to my stomach. I don't like that. And, you learn from good and bad leadership, and that's what the Army taught me. But when I see someone I'm supposed to look up to, like if I have employees, which I finally hired one, but if I make a mistake on a job site and the client calls and says, "Oh, it was crap, you need to come back and fix it," and I'm in the car like, "Man, I don't even understand. Like, why did I even try to work today?" Then my employee's going to be like, "Oh, why do I even work for this kind of man? He's pitiful." Own up to your mistakes, move on, fix them, become a better person. So, but ranting about that, so take over.
Yeah, for me, I mean, Jessica's hit the nail on the coffin with what she was saying. Terry Pagula said that he wants Josh to be more of a executive discretion type player going forward, and I absolutely respect that because
I agree.
He definitely needs to. He needs to be that player that we lost so many veterans last year. Let's look at the roster, guys, and look at what we lost. 40% of the roster, most of them were veterans. They were Mitch Morse, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, big name guys, even Stephon Diggs, players that were leaders in the locker room. Now, like I mentioned, is the time for Josh Allen to step in and be the leader for the Bills. And I think he will. And I don't want to go in and sugarcoat, is Josh Allen or is Josh Allen not a leader? I think he is. Absolutely. I think he is. I think he lost himself when Stephon Diggs got here because there's some beef. Somewhere along the line, there's some beef. You can't lie. You can't say that, Stephon Diggs was not beefing with Josh. It happened. But I think that now without him, there's a new Josh Allen coming into play. And I'm going to tell you right now, Josh Allen without Diggs is even more scary than Josh Allen with Diggs. Yeah. I'm going to say it right now. I'm calling it, brother.
It's exciting. And, Yeah, to that point Jessica made, I didn't see it at first. So this is not my last point about leadership. The hardest part about being a leader is separating work from not work. For example, when you're not practicing in football and you're having team dinners and you're playing games and going to this and that, be great friends. That's cool. But then if you're in a leadership position, the players that are your friends need to understand that when work is going on, you're in a position of power and leadership, and you need to be respected. And it's not joke and buddy and fun and games. You don't have to be a dick to people, but like it's not all about like, hey, let's do all this funny joking around stuff. Like it's good to be fun and having a good time, but you still need to be able to separate work from not work. When I was a team leader, the way I was at a very small unit because it was a specialty unit. It was a prestigious unit. Only a few, a couple thousand people were even on this base. When you get promoted, you're supposed to change companies because you're always with these people. So it was even harder for me because all the people I came up in the military with, I was now in charge of. People I hang out on the weekends, people I have dinner with, people I go to the gym with. And now I'm in a position of leadership. And then I have to be tough, a tough leader. I got to, because my job is to teach, motivate, and mentor. So if I have to be cross sometimes, I never just for no reason just yelled at people or jacked them up, made them do push-ups and sit-ups and all that kind of stuff. Smoking, we called it. And that wasn't what I was about. I was about teaching first. And if I did have to smoke you, I would do it with you. So other leaders wouldn't do that. My other peers, they would just do it for fun. I did it as a teaching, and if I had to do it to you, I would do it with you. So you need to be able to separate work from fun. You can still be fun at work, but like Jessica, do be a dick sometimes, but you don't need to get your point across. If you're respected, you could be a normal person and then still lead and mentor and teach. So it's very hard, and that's what I think Josh is the least strong at, is separating the two. But again, I'm not in the locker room, so I'm not going to say 100%. I'm just talking about from experience. It is very hard to separate work from friendship, but
absolutely,
it can be done if you keep your morals and your values and make them respect you, because you have to earn the respect by giving it to them and showing that I'm a good leader because I'm going to lead you. I'm going to teach you. If we're making a mistake, it's my fault. If you did something good, that's you. And if you said you had an idea and it was a bad idea, I take the blame. And that's just how it goes. And that's how you earn respect from people underneath you. And but like you said, it's going to be a fun year with, I'm going to miss Diggs. I love Stephon Diggs. I think he's an absolutely outstanding receiver. But now it's going to be fun because I have a million other people that need to step up and can step up. And a lot of people think, oh, Josh is going to be bad now. But he really matured having Stephon Diggs. And now he's to that point where he does, it'd be nice to have a number one receiver because everybody should have one. But now he can be the guy that makes other people better around him. Instead of having to grow with people, he can now be the one planting the seeds and watering the plants and making them even better, which would then help him. So I'm excited for that because you really see what has he been doing for these last 6 years.
Right. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Sean. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the coffin there. I do want to move on to the last topic that we're going to talk about, which is, back to the preseason again. The players that need to step up that we haven't really heard a lot from it to make the 53-man roster, or guys that, are on the bubble watch that need to step up. Let's talk about those guys right now. And Sean, the starters, let's say the starters aren't going to play. I'm just going to play the Sean McDermott card, okay? Who are the guys that are not the starters that you think need to have a good game this week to showcase what they can do on the field and how they can make the 53-man roster? Give me 3 names.
Probably Kingsley Jonathan. He's on a bubble. Obviously, I'm not going to say one of them, but the receiver group that's going to be fighting for either the final 5th spot if they only keep 5, or the 6th, or the 7th. So basically the 5 people fighting for 5, 6, and 7, that group is fighting for it. And, it's tough. I think, Lyle Collins has had a bad camp and he's hurt and he stinks. So if he's playing, I don't know how he's doing with his injury, but he's a guy where he's going to have to play really well, because I would rather just get him out of there and keep younger guys at that point. So I'd say a guy like Lyle Collins.
I'm going to give you 3 names for me. Kyer Elam. Keep the momentum going in the right direction, okay? Mm-hmm. That's my number 1. Number 2, I think, the defensive line with, like, Casey Toole. I think it's going to be tough. You got Dwayne Smoot. You got such a deep rotation of defensive linemen. But we haven't heard much from Casey Toohill. We haven't heard much from Austin Johnson and some of the other guys in that mix there. It's time for Toohill and guys like that to step up. In terms of the offensive line, because I always love to bring it back there for you, Sean, Cedric Van Brand hasn't been getting a lot of opportunities as the number 2. But now's an opportunity with Alec Anderson missing some time in training camp due to the heat illness that he has. If he can be getting second team reps, showcase that you belong there. Now, you're a 5th-round pick. It's hard to make the NFL roster, but showcase that you can do it and how you can make the roster. So those are my guys. I would obviously love to take a wide receiver and like Tyrell Shavers, but I'm going to take the 3 that I have there, and can't wait to see what they do on the field. And we'll discuss it more next week when we get into the Red, White, and Ruthless again, and we'll hopefully talk next week with a victory, and the first victory of the 2024 season for the Buffalo Bills. We do have a good record in the preseason, so don't get me wrong. I love seeing what we've done over the last few years, but if we can go undefeated again, that's a good sign. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's all right. We'll see. But yeah, Dennis says Van Pran needs to prove he belongs for sure. It'd be nice if he could, if he gets a chance, but he never gets a chance. And, I've been very adamant on he's not getting a fair shot. And when I say that, I mean it's second team. You should be able to get a rep, a practice at least, in a second team. But everybody's reporting that he's only getting third team. And then you ask, hey, has he been horrible or something? No, he's been pretty good. I said, okay, so then why is he not getting more opportunity in the second team? And then the only person who, the shout guys, all the shout guys, they tried to explain it. And it wasn't the answer that needed to be said. Again, not their fault, but their reasoning was nobody's done bad enough to give him an opportunity. And then my rebuttal is, but it's training camp. They all should be getting opportunity. Why is DeMar Hamlin? Why is Cole Bishop? Why is Mike Edwards all switching for the first team? If if DeMar Hamlin wasn't doing bad, why did you give Cole Bishop a chance?
Right.
So why is that, if Cedric Van Pran has not been the worst player in the camp, why are you not giving him a second team rep? It makes zero sense, especially with the injuries. Will Clapp got injured. Edwards got hurt. Anderson had a heat stroke. Why is he not getting second team reps? It doesn't make any sense. You drafted him. You knew he was a top 3 center. You even said you wanted to draft him in the 3rd round, but you wanted to get Ray Davis first. So what is the reasoning? You're just going to keep him on your practice squad you're going to keep him on the bench for 4 years because apparently McGovern's not moving. And draft profiles can be wrong, but Van Pran's draft profile mentioned very precisely he is not an NFL level guard, only a center. So, of course, the Buffalo Bills, everybody's got to be versatile. They're going to okay, we're going to put you at guard a little bit. They're going to Cody Ford him and ruin him because he's not going to play guard. He's not good at guard. And I know he's a rookie, but he's a a guy who played at one of the best colleges in the country for 4 straight years, won 2 national championships, and he's a very intelligent guy. He's very good at run blocking. He's very good at pass blocking. And if you think he's a rookie, I don't know. I don't know about him, Cromer. Throw him against Ed Oliver. Throw him against Austin Johnson. Throw him against the backups at least, so you can see what you got in him. Because you know he's got the IQ. You know he's got the ability. So what are you fooling around for? Because like I know, McGovern was the plan the whole time. Oh, who are you? You're not Aaron Cromer. Aaron Cromer's a professional coach. Well, I know one thing. I'm a human, and so is Aaron Cromer. I make mistakes, so does Aaron Cromer. I make misjudgment, so does Aaron Cromer. So why on God's green earth would you draft a guy in the 5th round who's supposed to be a top 3 center in the draft if you weren't planning on him being your future? Because going back to the point I was trying to make earlier, McGovern and Dawkins had their best seasons as pros last year next to each other. Dawkins has never had the same guard next to him his entire career. So why fix what's not broken? Going back to the thing, you could only fix one position. You could put Cedric Van Pran and Alec Anderson fighting for the center position, and Will Clapp. 3 people. One of them's a veteran, one of them's a couple years in the system, and one of them's a rookie. They all fight for it, and you have 4 of the 5 returning starters. And then guess what? If Van Pran works out, you got him for 4 years. You re-signed Spencer Brown, you got him for 4 more years. You got McGovern for 3 more years. You got Torrance for 3 more years. So you could have had this offensive line completely fixed and locked up for years to come, but now you're just fooling around. David Edwards is not the future of this offensive line. He's going to be gone next year. So what are we doing here? And he's just not getting opportunity. And definitely needs to learn Cromer's way of doing things. But if he's not, I just feel like he still needs to be getting more opportunity because he's still learning. He's learning Cromer's way, but he's doing that in the 3rd team. Why not give him 2nd team tries? He doesn't have to get 1st team reps if they really don't want him to. But I mean, come on. Yeah, I mean, and it's nice to learn guard, but like I said, not every the Bills are obsessed, absolutely obsessed with offensive linemen being versatile.
Right.
But again, and I can bring Coach Kane back. I know he's a wide receiver coach, but I play a little bit of offensive line. I had friends that coached offensive line, and not every single person can play multiple positions. Like right tackle is, I know it's going to sound like I'm, offensive line explaining, but just because you can play left tackle doesn't mean you can play right tackle. Just because you can play left guard doesn't mean you can play right guard. Just because you can play center does not mean you can play left guard and right guard. And we saw this with Cody Ford. Rookie year as a right tackle. Very good. And Von Miller even said, this rookie, he's got a good future ahead of him. He even held me back multiple times. I couldn't do nothing against him. And then we put him at guard, then he sucked, then he got hurt, and we put him back at the other guard, then he got hurt and sucked, and now he's a nobody. But if you kept him at right tackle, he would still be at right tackle to this day. And, it's nice to learn different positions if you had to, but if you're just not that type of guy, I'd rather Van Pran just be an elite center than be like a Alec Anderson or a Ryan Bates and be jack of all trades, master at none. Because you can look around the NFL, how many offensive linemen that play more than one position are good? And when I mean good, I mean very good. One of the top positions top numbers at your position. You could be okay. Like Bates you could play center, you could play right guard, you could play tackle, but he was never great at any of them. And you're not going to break the bank for a guy like that. So yeah, it's cool to have flexibility, but most of the people that have flexibility, they're not elite players in the NFL. So if he's great at center, let him learn center and keep playing center. And I get what you're saying, Jess. Like it'd be nice to have him learn guard just in case. But again, and draft profiles could be wrong, but the overwhelming opinion going into it was he's not an NFL guard. So I'd rather just him getting reps at center, and that's it, because he's great at center. He's really good, and I'm hoping that they see, hey, give him opportunity. It doesn't make sense to me. That's all I'm saying is if he was horrible in camp and getting beat by the 3rd team and messing up snaps, okay, don't give him 2nd team reps yet. He's obviously not ready. But if nobody's reporting that, then what's the issue, right? Like I really don't get it. And what's nerve-wracking is they can really screw this up because last year we kept 4 tackles, we kept 3 centers technically and 3 guards technically because one of the guards could play center. So if you look at it the same way this year, you got Brown, you got Dawkins, you got that guy from UCF, and you got Van DeMark at tackle, right? Then the guards are Torrance, Edwards, Will Clapp could do both, and then Alec Anderson can do both, but he's going to be a center. And then we'll just put Lyle Collins in there, right? And then the centers are McGovern and Alec Anderson. So if Van Pran's not getting more reps, they might screw this up and just let him go to the practice squad and he's going to get scooped up. And I really can't see that happening. But he's not a guard, so I don't think he's going to make it as a guard. So he needs opportunities ASAP because, I don't know, it's blowing my mind. Exactly, and that's my whole point about it. Then this is like, if that was really your whole plan, why would you get a guy who's an absolute starter in the NFL if you're just going to waste him and throw him on the bench? And that's what pisses me off the most about it. It literally makes zero sense. But if you say that in a bigger YouTuber's chat, everybody says, "Oh, you're an idiot. You're not a coach. You're not Aaron Cromer. You don't know what's going on. You don't know this. You don't know that." But it's an obvious thing. And that's why I brought up the 2-1 scenario to Brett. Simply put, I'd rather fix one position than 2 because the other position was fine. McGovern was great. Dawkins was great. Torrance and Brown were great, but they need to repeat themselves. So, yeah, he's a 5th rounder, but he only dropped in the draft because they said he has short arms. But talent-wise, they compared him. He was the top 3 in the draft. So, in 5th rounders, I mean, Diggs was a 5th rounder. You know what I mean? So Shakir was a 5th rounder, I think, right? Or a 4th rounder. But, yeah, I could talk about O-line and Van Pran all day, but he needs to get more opportunity. This is not fair. This kid's not getting a fair shot. And, again, if it's reported that he's been horrible, I understand. But it hasn't been, so that's why I'm saying he's not getting a fair shot. I can't hear you, buddy. You're not muted, but you're not coming through.
Give me 1 sec.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, let me try it one more time.
Can't hear you now. We were hearing you. No, you had it right, and then you try to fool around.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry. My microphone's not coming in. I don't know why it's not, so.
You're good. But yeah, no, I get your point, Jess. He's a 5th rounder, technically not expected to start and play, but he can. He absolutely can. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to take one of Brett's phrases. I'm telling you right now, he's the future. He can be the future, and he's got it all. Like, Jake sent me the 3 play, and he only got 3 reps in the damn blue and white game practice. It doesn't make sense. And the 3 plays he had, he absolutely dominated the one guy. The second one, nothing happened. It was just nobody came to him. And then the third one, he held his block. And I'm looking at him play. I'm like, man, this guy's he's it. I'm so excited about him. But hey, and they want to screw around and let him go, or whatever. If he goes to that practice squad, he will be gone to the Miami Dolphins just like that. He'll be gone to another team that needs a center immediately. But yeah, I agree. It'll be our loss, Dennis. And and it's the same thing like last year with Torrance, real quick. And I'm gonna call them out a little bit, but I was watching Cover 1 last year at camp, and their guys were telling me they were live or something, and they were like, "Yeah, Torrance has no shot at beating Ryan Bates at starting guard. He's been horrible." I said, but I've heard other people say that he's had a pretty good camp. And then their response was, "You're not even here. What do you know?" So it's all about people paint their own thoughts. And, obviously they do a great job over there. Everybody loves them. But it was just stuff like that. And he just needs a shot. And I don't know if people just aren't properly reporting to us, but I trust the Shout guys, and they, to me, haven't said anything that was concerning about him.
Right.
So, I don't know. Like I said, change the subject because I will. Yeah, tide goes to the younger, cheaper player. Absolutely, every time. But go ahead, Brad, if you want to wrap up, because I'll go on a tangent about.
Brother, it's all good. Listen, I've held you out for so long.
That's true. Yeah, you had. Well, you had a good reason. But.
Yeah, the cheetah has to come out. The cheetah's number one in terms of the NFL players rule or the top 100 players. So I got to let you out a little bit. Can't keep you tamed all the time, brother. I understand.
Well, we're really gonna pick it up, and I do want to do something fun, people. I was gonna see if Jake and Brett sometimes join me, and maybe even Mike too. But it's because I haven't done a lot of stuff with Jake lately. My plan is, and let me know if you think this is a cool idea, Brett.
Yeah.
Everybody taught, and I love Greg Rousseau. I'm not hating Greg Rousseau, but when people say stuff like he's the best run defender in the league,
right,
as a defensive end, I just don't agree with it. He's elite at setting the edge. I remember one game specifically, that Chiefs game, where Elam got a pick in the red zone, and Rousseau got a pick as well. I think he got picked off 3 times that game, but that was the best game I ever saw Greg Rousseau play, because he legitimately set the edge every single time. But I want to watch every single snap from last year over again and really watch him only and really see, was he really that good at setting the edge? Because mind you, part of being a defensive end is that's your job, setting the edge, stopping the run, rushing the passer. So I'm not going to be the one that's going to be like, oh, he's moons and stars above everyone else at it because PFF said so, because that's part of your job anyway. So I'm going to rewatch that, and then also want to watch Benford. So maybe if you want to help me with Benford, watch his plays all over again and really watch them, and then me and Jake can watch Rousseau. I think that'd be fun, and we can make not like a film video on it, but just a discussion of what we saw. And again, I love the guys that are on my team, but I think part of what people get lost in is they don't remember there's other people in the NFL.
Right.
And I know my friends that are Dolphins fans, there's people in their comments that think, oh, Christian Wilkins was the best player in the world. But then guys like TD would be like, you got to remember there's other defensive tackles in the NFL besides Christian Wilkins. He didn't get all pro because you got guys like Quinn Williams, Chris Jones. He's not going to make all pro over those guys. Right. So I think Greg Rousseau is good. Needs to be better. But that's a thought I have that I want to do. But yeah, I know we'll wrap up because I know you got something to do. But we should be back every week. We're going to recap. I'm assuming we're going to recap the game next week. Right. I know Brett will watch it for sure. I might be on jobs, and I had trouble watching the preseason last year. It wasn't coming in for me.
So this one's on NFL Network. It's live on NFL Network.
Yeah, I know. It was like that last year though, and it would never play for me. I don't know why. Maybe it was because it was. I don't know. It would have been a blackout situation because I don't know. It was stupid because I get all the Bills games, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, I know you'll watch it at least, and then we'll talk about it. And then
So here's my changes that I want to make for this year. Okay, and I want to do it based off of if Mike and Jake and everybody agree on it. But I want to talk to you about it live on air with everybody else watching and everything. My thought is we do a giveaway at the end of the year, okay? The person that gets the closest to predicting the score throughout the whole entire year, based off of the 2 teams' combined scores for the game, at the end of the year gets a prize, okay? Whoever comes closest to the actual score. So let's say the score is, they predict 28-24, which is 52 points. And let's say the game was 23-20. So that's 43. You're down 9 points. whoever gets closest to the final score being correct at the regular season point towards the end of the year, we get a prize. Yes, only regular season, Jessica. That's a good point there that we're making. So when the regular season does start, every single game, all 17 games, you predict the score of what you think the Bills are going to do each and every week. You come on the show, predict the score. We'll tally it up. You give us your prediction. We'll post it. And then at the end of the year, there will be a prize, some type of prize, a jersey, some type of giveaway that we'll do at the end of the year. But I think that would be a really cool idea for something to do because, obviously fan engagement with you guys. We absolutely love you. We love, everybody that's coming into the comments, Jessica, Dennis, who I'm not familiar with, but I appreciate you, Dennis, for checking us out. Weston, everybody. Fan engagement is so important to keep you guys rolling, and I think that would be a great idea to get you guys involved and guess the score and have a little friendly competition between the folks in the chat as well.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea, Brett. You've been full of them.
Yeah, so but definitely I want to do it on Nickel City Mafia, but I will even throw it into the mix if you want to do it with the, when we do the predictions of each game. If you want to predict the score of the Bills game each week on your channel as well, and whoever gets closest, we'll have a friendly bet between the two of us that we normally do, and then we'll do another friendly bet afterwards, and we can predict, do it with the cast, and we can have them predict. We'll do a giveaway at the end of the year.
And
give somebody away some playoff tickets or something like that. No,
for sure. Well, Dennis had a nice comment here. Great show, guys. Glad I found you. This is the absolute best Bills podcast. Well, we really appreciate that. And, Brett's got a channel called Go Bills Podcast, and you can find me on Red, White, and Bills. I kind of go, only on here for off season, but I will be starting back up and, in the next couple weeks, and I do a lot of offensive line film in the regular season. We do pre-games and post-games, and we do a lot of work over here too. So keep tuning in. We appreciate your support.
And Jessica, I do appreciate you coming into the chat saying this. My microphone actually is not working properly. I have a charging issue, so I got to get another microphone, so that will be fixed. And I do appreciate you for letting me know that. I'm going to test it out in a different area next week on the show. So please, if you can, tune in. We'll be live at 8:30 on Saturday. I'm going to try and have these issues fixed, but it is the preseason. I'm going to get them fixed. We have the jitters that we got to get fixed. But
also, we've been trying to do call-in shows for a long time. So when the season starts, you guys don't be afraid. You don't have to show your face, but we can do, we got our schedule where we're basically doing all the pre-games, and you guys can come on. We can have 20 or 30 minutes a show for fan engagement, and if you guys are willing, again, it's not forced, but we love that. And again, you can just come up here like this if you feel like. If you don't feel like showing your face, and just say what you feel and what you're worried about, any questions you got. So that's something we'll do when the season starts too, if you guys would like. If not, then we'll just keep rolling how we roll. But appreciate you guys for tuning in for sure.
Definitely, guys.
And you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate each and every one of you. But don't forget to also like, subscribe, follow us on all social media platforms. You know where to find Nickel City Mafia by now. I tell you every single show. But you can find them on Instagram, YouTube, as well as Facebook and Twitter. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and I'm on Facebook, but Red, White, and Bills is not. We'll have our next show on Nickel City Mafia on Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will have my next show in my player analysis series tomorrow night. That'll be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well on Go Bills Podcast. You can find that on Facebook as well as Instagram, where you can check out those shows. I've done a collaboration with a bunch of guys, so check out those videos. There's about 15 to be exact already that we've done. We have more to come, and tomorrow is going to be a show on a defensive tackle that is going to be a focal point for the Bills as a depth piece. So check that one out tomorrow. This has been the Red, White, and Ruthless and Go Bills podcast and Red, White, and Bills. We'll see you next time for another edition of the Ruthless Show. Until then, go Bills.
Go Bills. And yes, Jessica, you can.
Yes.
That's how we roll.
Yes, you can.
All right.
All right, guys. See you next time. Go Bills.
Go Bills.